have no interest in dropping back 50 times if we don't need to. I'd like to win the way we did last week if that's the way it can happen. So I'll play whatever game is called, whatever game we need, and all that really matters is that we find a way at the end to win. And I'm not going to nitpick or look at any of the steps along the way to get there. Let's just win.
Kirk Cousins, Vikings quarterback, sporting the early season playoff beard. I don't know how I feel about a beard on Kirk Cousins, and I say that as someone who could never pull off a beard. If you can't pull off a beard, don't try. That's my free male grooming advice today. But far more importantly, it's time to play a little What's More Likely? Kirk Cousins is the first topic today, and this one I'm intrigued by.
Yeah.
I've gone back and forth on this one. What's more likely? Saquon Barkley has another game with 11 carries, or Kirk Cousins has another game with only 10 pass attempts? What's more likely?
I think this is a tough one. I think I would go, though, with Saquon Barkley has another game of 11 carries, where, like, let's state this, that should never happen, okay? He should never have 11 carries, but I do think it's more likely than, Kirk Cousins having 10 pass attempts in a game. And why do I say that? Because I think the way the Vikings won is a very rare way, with a block punt, all the interceptions down in the, in the red zone that led to a short field, those things, where I could see the Giants getting in some games where, things get out of hand and then they can't give them the ball in the run game and they have to throw to come back and play that style of football and offense.
Yeah. I agree with you completely. I mean, I could see the Vikings continuing their commitment to the running game all year long because it worked with Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison, the rookie from Boise State. But to get to only 10 throws, you do have to have multiple short fields, which is what they had. You get up big, and then you don't. Why? Especially week one.
Right.
Why show any of your passing game if you don't have to?
Yeah,
You're up 28-0 for crying out loud. So I think it's far less likely that we'll see the Vikings have Cousins only throw 10 passes again. Far more likely that either due to incompetence or circumstance, Saquon Barkley will only have 11 carries. I think we're on the same page on that one. All right. Who is more likely to sustain his performance? Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray?
Well, this is an easy one. I'm going with Kyler Murray because Lamar Jackson had like a career day. I mean, that could very easily be like the best day in the history of his career at that point, or any quarterback would take that day and say, damn, that was one of the better days of my career. So I do go with Kyler Murray here just because, again, Kyler Murray didn't like blow the doors off to, oh my gosh, this is the most unbelievable stuff we've ever seen. No, it was very, underwhelming for a long, long time. But then late in the fourth quarter, he made just 2 or 3 throws and then another amazing throw in overtime that kind of changed the game in general. And I could see that being a style of play by Arizona all year long.
But you're right. I mean, this is one of those where you really got to pay attention to the question and the circumstance, because Lamar Jackson set a bar so much higher than anyone last week. It's going to be almost impossible to continue it. And for Kyler Murray, first 3 quarters, not good. Fourth quarter, they figured it out. I hope that it's a good game on Sunday. I mean, I think we look at it and say, the Ravens should win this one at home. Arizona's coming all the way across the country, and they were down 24-6, and the Ravens have a better defense, yada, yada. But this, even though they're going to see each other once every 4 years, savor it when they do. Kyler Murray versus Lamar Jackson. I agree with you. It's more likely Murray sustains his performance because it wasn't nearly as spectacular as Lamar Jackson's. All right, Sammy Watkins and DeSean Jackson each had multiple touchdown catches, over 40 yards last week. Who's more likely to go 40-plus yards again this week?
Ooh.
Sammy Watkins of the Chiefs or DeSean Jackson of the Eagles?
Gosh, this is like, because these two guys are both like focal points for their offense as far as down the field shots. I don't feel comfortable with any answer here. I'm going to go with Sammy Watkins, I guess, only because of this, because of Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs offense, which is always looking for a handful of deep shots every game, and not just deep shots within like the normal flow of the game. These are deep shots where Andy Reid has been the mad scientist all week, and he found a few plays that he knows are going to screw over this defense at this time of the game. I don't feel great about that one because I know Wentz is a good deep ball thrower, and we know DeSean Jackson is awesome, but I'm going to go with Sammy Watkins just because of that Chiefs offense.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with DeSean Jackson because of that history of performance we've seen from him and all the times he's gone over 50 yards in his career. And without Tyreek Hill on the field, Sammy Watkins now becomes the guy that the Raiders defense is game planning to stop. DeSean Jackson still has Alshon Jeffrey, and I don't even know that he needs. He is the guy. Sammy Watkins has never really been the guy on a sustained basis.
No,
he steps into that role now, and I think that you're going to see a concerted effort to take him away and force Patrick Mahomes to go elsewhere. So that's why I think DeSean Jackson's
You're
more
right.
likely.
No, those are all good points. This is a tough one. I mean, your points are spot on. I'm just hoping Andy Reid's got something for those few plays, but we'll see. We'll see what was more likely next week when we do what is more likely.
We never go back and look at how the last ones turned out. So
Yeah.
Who knows? We could say whatever we want. We're never wrong because we never grade the test. Next one, Freddie Kitchens rallies the Browns for a great performance on Monday Night Football, or the Browns lose again and Cleveland's misery continues. What's more likely?
Oof. I'm going to go with Freddie Kitchens rallies the Browns for a great performance. I am. I don't know why. I still got faith in Freddie Kitchens and Baker Mayfield. The defense played good the other day in that Titans game. We know it was Baker Mayfield just going through a stretch of really the worst stretch we've seen him have in his career. I don't think he'll replicate that, especially don't expect that. And here's the other thing I'll say. Freddie Kitchens is going to have a good feel for Greg Williams' defense, more than vice versa, right? Because Greg Williams in training camp last year, he went against Hugh Jackson's offense, right? And Freddie, he never really had to go against Freddie's offense. So Freddie, I think, will have greater knowledge of Greg Williams, and I do worry about the corners for the New York Jets. It is not a great group, and I'm not so sure they match up that well with these wide receivers in Cleveland.
I am by no means a Star Wars geek, but I am thinking of the scene from the original Star Wars movie, which would be Episode 4, when they're in the trash compactor and the walls just begin to close in. I feel like for the Browns, the walls are closing in, and they're closing in, and the pressure is mounting, and here's Monday Night Football. And even though it's the Jets, you can feel that, and it's palpable, and they've got the Rams coming up, and they've got big games after that, and I don't know that Freddie Kitchens is able to find the off switch. This is a guy who a year ago was a running backs coach, for crying out loud. I'm not saying he can't, but I'm just saying it's not going to be easy. And the last thing we saw from this team was a loss by 30. So
what are you saying is what are you saying is what I want to know, because that was a nice high wire dance act there to say a lot of nice and crap at the same time. What is more likely, Mike Florio?
Well, is it possible they don't have a great performance, but they still win?
There's two choices.
They have an ugly...
Great performance on Monday Night Football, or the Browns lose again and the misery continues. There's two choices. You have to pick one of them. What's more likely?
I am aware of the rules. I'll say between those two choices, Browns lose again, because I think the most likely scenario is the Browns win in ugly fashion and just get out of there before they get their butts kicked at home by the Rams 6 days later. All right, last one. Quarterback more likely to keep his team in playoff conversation, Joe Flacco or Gardner Minshew II? Gesundheit.
Gosh. Honestly, I feel better about Gardner Minshew right now, okay? Because, again, I haven't watched that Broncos-Raiders film, but just the way the Broncos offense looked in general, I still got questions about that O-line, and I know Mike Munchak's there, and he'll get some of that straightened out, but I do think there's issues there. There was a lot of plays where Joe Flacco was holding the ball. It didn't look like anybody was open when you saw replays on TV, things like that. And I just look at Gardner Minshew, and things look good. I mean, he played good. It was 23-13. They were driving in field goal position, and Leonard Fournette fumbled. I'm going with him, too, just because of the team around him. I still think this defense is better than the one in Denver. I think their run game is better than Denver, and honestly think he has better weapons in the pass game around him than Joe Flacco. I'm going with the Jags and Minshew. Minshew's got a little bit of a cannon there as he's firing that ball out, and he really was a machine at Washington State, 5th in the Heisman voting. Also, consider the competition. Broncos have already lost to the Raiders. They got to deal with the Chargers twice and the Chiefs twice. The Jaguars in that AFC South, which feels diminished due to injuries and just ineffectiveness. I think that I got a little more faith in Gardner Minshew. I'm not ready to abandon my AFC South pick. Okay.
Plus, I also recognize that Nick Foles will be back at some point.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe they'll apply the 100% rule to Nick Foles once he's healthy if Gardner Minshew is getting it done.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.